You see, it's quite simple. I look at the Scarecrow, I start taking damage. I look away from the Scarecrow, I stop taking damage. Would you look at that? Hey everyone, this is Syntax, and today I'm going to be showing you guys how you can use the perception trigger to create a mechanic that allows you to deal damage to your main antagonist, your main protagonist, the character, whatever character you're playing as in your map, if they look at something specific. So for me, it's the Scarecrow, but for you, it could be some horde creature you created, or just something that when you look at it, it deals damage to you. So let's get into it. This mechanic is actually extremely simple, and when utilized correctly, it can add a whole bunch to a horror map, or to an adventure map, or any map of that sort. So let's take a look at it. First thing you want to do is go to devices, grab the perception trigger. It's got this weird little thing that looks like it has two antennas on it, and place it where your object is. So for me, it's the Scarecrow, so I place it right in front of the Scarecrow. Also be mindful if there's any objects or barriers blocking this thing, it will not see you, and it will not send a signal. So make sure there's a straight shot wherever you need it to be. Next, head to the settings and make sure times can trigger is infinite. Of course, you want to have it be disabled if you don't want to constantly take damage from it, but for this example, have times can trigger be infinite, and I don't have anything disabling it, so that doesn't really matter. Transmit every X triggers, make sure this is set to 1, delay and reset delay set to none. Turn the trigger sound and the visual effects off, and make sure it's not visible in game. And you want to head down to the bottom two settings and have when a player looks at the device, transmit on, and when a player looks away from this device, transmit on, and set that to 2 different channels. So for me, that's channels 1 and 2. Also be mindful that this little blue thing is the circumference in which it can see you. So if I'm standing outside of that point right there, so if I'm like 31 meters away, it's not going to send a signal to deal damage to me. So make sure that you're within this radius when you're dealing your damage. Next thing, head to devices, head all the way down and grab yourself a damage volume trap. Now this is what we're going to be using to deal our damage to our players. So as you can see, I have zone and base turned off during game because we don't want you to be able to see it. And I turn the width, depth, and height to 100 for all of them, just so it encompasses the whole map. If you're just stuck in a room, you can obviously just have it be like 1, 1, and 1, but I just had it encompass the whole map because why not? Make sure this is not on elimination, have it set to damage over time, and of course the damage can vary. If you want to do it 25 damage every 3 seconds, you can do that. For this example, I just have 1 damage every 1 second, and you want to go ahead and link up the channels. Make sure that this is set however you want. If you want it to take from shield, you can turn that on. If you want it to affect creatures, you can turn that on. I just have affects players turned on, and make sure it does not enable the game start, or else it will deal damage as soon as you spawn, and have it enable from the same channel that when you're looking at that device it's sending to that channel. So for me that's 1, and it's enabled when 1, and have it disabled when receiving from the same channel that gets transmitted on when a player looks away from that device. So for me that's obviously 2. So here we go. Once again, from the beginning of the video, I started the game and I'm not looking at the Scarecrow, but as soon as I look at the Scarecrow, get my eyes in line of that perception trigger, it is going to deal damage to me. As you can see, as long as there's nothing in the way of me and the Scarecrow and I'm within the radius, it is going to deal damage to me, and obviously when I stop looking at it, it will stop dealing damage to me. Make sure again you are within the radius, because if I back up too far, it's going to stop dealing damage to me anyway. As you can see, it's right about here where I stop taking damage by looking at him. It's about 32 meters, give or take, which that radius is, I guess it's closer to 30, but yeah, so just make sure within the radius, and now you have a mechanic that works just like this. Anyway guys, there you have it. That is how you can use a perception trigger to set up a mechanic where simply looking at something will have you taking damage. I hope this video helped you out, and yeah, this has been Syntax. Later.